you're making millions of dollars a year, to then go and join and create your own venture fund. I mean, even for you, that must have been a big decision.
If I realize one thing, right, like you have to take one step back to take two steps forwards, right? So I've had this journey three times. The first time was when I did the .com. I had to give it up, and then I rejoined Credit Suisse, back to the same position. I lost a year, but that one step forward gave me two steps forward because I had the entrepreneurial spirit that I'd learned. Plus, it gave me the move to New York, which I never would have had, right? So those, you always have to look
Got
at
it.
that way.
Hello, and welcome to Indian Explorers. In this podcast, we speak about the Indian diaspora and how they've been so successful in the world. I am Sabrina, and together with my co host Amit, we will get to understand the journey our guests have gone through and what motivates them: the optimism, the patience, the idealism, the courage. These are the attributes that we want to bring to life in these conversations. So if you like what you hear today, please subscribe, share with your friends, and even refer our next guest to us. In fact, our first episode became available this week on Spotify and YouTube. And Amit, what has the feedback been like? Because I did see that we had more than just our spouses and our moms viewing it. So tell me.
Well, Sabrina, my wife has not seen it. She said, I'm pregnant with your child, and the last thing I want to do is see more of you. So that's my immediate family's
Fair enough.
response. I got a lot of response. Everyone is pretty impressed with Amit Kaswani. They said, "Hey, I'm surprised he's single." The problem is that all that feedback came from married women, so not so good for him. I have a couple that I want to read to you. One was from
Okay.
my cousin in Dubai. She goes, maybe it's not such a good idea to drink a Coke Zero during the interview. You have to be responsible on what you put out there from the very beginning. Dot, dot, dot. Unless, of course, they're a sponsor. In that case, drink away. Um, my two favorite ones, Sabrina, was you ugly, Amit. You can move the camera back. And my favorite one was, can you not use AI to reduce that American accent? We can't stand her accent. So there you go. That was the feedback. Uh,
Wow.
that was the feedback we had.
I did want to ask, what did you think about the Coke Zero feedback? Because I mean, you drink a couple Coke Zeros a day. I drink Diet Coke. I
Uh,
One of my vices. What did you think about that one?
I actually disagree with it. I think if it's something, if it's who I am and I drink it every day, I don't think why I should change who I am, you know, for a
Yeah, and
podcast or for
maybe
any other
Coke will be
show.
a sponsor one day.
Yeah, that's the idea. So, I went last night, Sabrina, to watch a movie, John Wick 4, and it reminded me a bit of like a Bollywood movie because the amount of people that he killed was just amazing. But there was one quote in that movie that I wanted to get your opinion on. The way you do anything is the way you do everything.
It makes
What do you
sense,
think about
right?
that?
I think the way you do anything is the way you do everything. The way you do anything sets the tone for the way you move forward in life,
I loved it.
right?
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I'm going to annoy my kids with that all weekend, that's for sure. Should we jump in to our guest today? Do you know? He's a friend of mine for over 30 years,
I
Gautam Ahuja.
do.
Did you
I
meet him?
do.
Probably at my
I
wedding?
have. Your wedding, my brother's wedding. I don't know if he was at my wedding. It's been so long now.
Fair enough.
But the one and only Gautam Ahuja, he
Yeah.
has a very impressive bio, which I look forward to delving into right now. Um, I follow him on Instagram, so I know he is an adventurer and a foodie. I want to talk about that in a little bit. And all around amazing guy, humble. So amazing that your oldest son is named Gautam. Any relation? Did you name him after your dear friend that's on the show today?
My dear wife gave me three names that she liked to choose from, Gautam being one of them. And given my relationship with Gautam Ahuja and where he is, and I love the name. But let me tell you the other two names so that we can rule them out. The other two names were Raveen and Dinesh.
Oh, yeah. By default, got them one.
Yeah. So let's jump right in. Let's Gautam. Let's have some fun. Gautam, welcome to the show.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for
Hi.
having
How
me.
are you, mate?
I'm good, thanks.
How are you?
I'm great.
Thanks for being here. It's nice
Good.
to see you after so long.
Let's start from the beginning. We met 30 years ago. I think it was the first day of King's College. Do you remember?
Yes, I do remember actually.
Do you remember what we did the first day after
It
class?
was
Do you remember
1994.
what we did the first day after class when everybody went to
Yes,
McDonald's?
we went to have a Chinese buffet because McDonald's was not good enough for us. We needed something more filling and something more substantial. So I told Amit, like, do you want to have
Yeah,
Chinese food? And we said, there's this really cool buffet in Kensington. Let's go there. He goes, I'm in. And that's how our friendship started.
That's where it
from
started to
food.
blossom over food.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which
And
still
we've
goes
shared
on.
apartments in London. We've shared an apartment in New York. In New York, he was very generous. He took care of me. I think he paid two-thirds of the rent. I paid a third. So I remember that fondly. So Gautam, let's start with we also met after King's College. We were together at Credit Suisse First Boston. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
Yes, that was a very interesting experience. That was actually, Amit should know this, but we was one of the hardest jobs to get on Wall Street. Those days were very different because, out of the whole European class, only 20 people were hired. So if you appreciate the classes these days are probably 50 to 100 people, and very concentrated. And those days it was very spread out. So we were probably 8 people out of the UK who got hired into Credit Suisse. In those days, Chris is one of the top investment banks, especially the groups we were in, telecom, media, technology, which was um, the best group because Frank Cotone joined, and we were doing I mean, all the greatest deals in both telecom and technology at that time. So it was a great experience because it made us work really hard, and work ethic became a very important part of it. And we tried to have as much fun as we could doing it. So it was a steep learning curve, both in a technical way and also in a life in terms of how to really perform at a workplace.
Were you both working together?
We were actually in
Same
different
bank.
groups, same bank, different groups, but we were very close to each other. Amit was part of the really technology group. I was part of the telecom group. They're both for
Okay.
the hardest groups to be in, so we were lucky to be chosen in the top groups because telecom was deregulated in Europe, so there was a lot of deals, and technology, as
Yeah.
was the start of the dot com. So it was a great time to be there.
Yeah, that's an exciting time to
Gautam
be
was
there.
Yeah, Gautam was a star analyst. I remember when we joined. I was told that if I don't pass my, was it CFA, some exams, that I would probably be asked to leave. I
Yeah,
was in, do you remember Gautam? We did a 2-month internship in New York, and we did some exams at the end of that.
yeah,
And Gautam came, I think, I don't know if top or he was in the top 5%. I was, if not bottom, I was in the bottom 2%. And I was told that if I don't pass these exams on the first go, that my offer to Credit Suisse will be rescinded. Now Credit Suisse is gone, so goodbye, Credit Suisse. What did you think of the whole SVB, Credit Suisse banking rescue, Gotham? Since you probably have some insider information on
yeah.
that.
I think that the rescue of SVB was beyond just saving depositors. I think if you look at the whole startup spectrum, they all bank with SPV, so it would have decimated the entire startup spectrum, and the amount of layoffs that would have happened because people would have overnight not have businesses anymore. And that was the bigger issue. I think the systemic risk is what they wanted to stop. They didn't say it, but that's what it is.
Yeah,
Also the boost confidence and everything in the
Yeah.
system. So it was a necessary thing they needed to do. Otherwise, it would have caused a massive issue because it's the only bank that has 95% depositors over the FDIC limit. So it's not the bank going under, which is the issue, which they didn't care about. As you saw this time, the bank was not rescued, the depositors were rescued. So
Yeah.
they knew that if these deposits were, the banking system would collapse, and it probably would have been great for crypto, and it already has. As you see, the crypto market absolutely rallied probably 30-40% since this thing has happened. So
Got it. So actually, and we can all read what's happening out there. We want to know more about your story. You come from Delhi. Um, from Delhi, you went to study in the UK. From there, you got a job in Credit Suisse. And today, you are a partner of your own fund. That's quite a story. Can you tell us a little bit from, right from your Delhi school days to where you are today, living in Soho? Like, what's the journey been like?
yeah, it's a very interesting journey because you don't know what life takes you till you actually go on the journey. You don't know what you're gonna end up with. So my father studied chartered accountancy in England, which those days was the most prestigious thing. It wasn't about investment banking those days. So he always said I should do that, get further education, do that, do an MBA, like typical Indian father, try to get as many degrees and qualifications as possible. Um, and I always wanted to study in London. I was born in London, so I had a British passport, and I was in the British school, so it's a very natural transition to go to the UK. Even though I applied to US, I wasn't doing it. I did not even half-heartedly, even less. I really put my effort um, into the schools in the UK, and especially London, because I wanted to be an international place. So Delhi gave me that upbringing with the British school to get into this. So King's College was actually my second choice. My first choice was London School of Economics, which I did not get into because I was I was I was a very spoiled kid who didn't get good grades till only the A levels, and they needed good grades for the GCSEs as well, which is the 10th standard. So I had
Yeah,
to, you know, I took King's College. I was still very happy with it because I think the whole school was shocked I actually got into it because I always had this feedback that he's very good at what he does. He's super intelligent, but puts no effort.
lazy.
And I put the effort
Yeah.
literally last year of my schooling. Out of all the years, I was in cruise control, just about passing, and then I ended up getting the second highest grade in the whole school, which from teachers to every student was shocked, and even my father was shocked. Wow, he's actually going to King's College. This is crazy. Like, so
But Gautam,
that,
I noticed that as well in college. In King's College, I think I was the one early riser, taking the notes, going to all the classes. And I remember there was a maths course which you didn't attend any of the classes because it was like Wednesday, 8 a.m. And you still came top of that exam.
Well, it sounds like
So,
it
I
was
mean,
easy for him, like he wasn't challenged, right?
yeah, it
Like,
wasn't actually
no, it
Amit.
was,
Actually, the interesting part that was Amit. I remember that very fondly. But you
yeah,
actually went through it with me, explained it, the logic. I think in a few hours, and that's all I needed. And I said I got it. And then the computer part of it, I did it the night before. I learned the entire programming night before, and yeah, I did top that class. I think I did get the highest grades in that class. So it was further mathematics with computing, and
Sabrina, you got
math
to
came
just
very
live.
natural to me. So mathematics
Yeah,
was one of those things that I really excelled in and always did well in. So, had I known, had a better understanding living in India that you can do a master's degree and join finance or something, I would have done that just because we were always told do business or something in that field.
yeah.
I kind of, steered in that direction. So,
yeah.
my skill was always mathematics. And, I remember we also so one of the things I set up, I met, if you don't remember, I wanted to be efficient. I wanted to enjoy university, and I also wanted to get the good grades. So, we did something that people do later in life, which is delegation. So I said, I would do all the mathematical courses and teach you guys. Amit would do all the essay writing, which is everyone hates. And we had
Uh,
another friend, Ajay, whose, only skill set was marketing. So he did all the marketing courses and
Only.
only Sorry, I was just
That's
that was a
hilarious.
joke. But so we taught
Yeah,
each other stuff, and that's how we were efficient. We didn't have to all go to all the classes. and we all did pretty well at the end of it, which was pretty cool. But yeah, my strong
I think
suit was always mathematical. I hated the writing part and stuff. Actually, law was the other thing I did really well in because that was something that structured stuff. Like law came very naturally to me as well. That was a very
Okay.
easy. So law and mathematics was kind of the subjects that I was really, really good at.
I
Um,
think what I remember was Ajay and me and Mona were hardworking, and Gautam was just smarter than us. So wherever we could, we picked his brains. But let's skip college. Let's go back to what you're doing now. Blue Scorpion. Tell us about it. Imagine our listeners have not heard of it. Tell us what you and Jameson have done, please.
yeah, so Blue Scorpion is an early stage consumer VC fund. We invest in consumer brands in the US. So, I need to go a little back to explain the whole evolution of how this started and why we're doing this because, there was a journey.
Go for it.
Uh, so when I was at Credit Suisse, so I moved to New York. So I'm just gonna quickly digress a little back. So I stayed at Credit Suisse, and then like Amit, I also left to start my own .com business. We all wanted to do something and be entrepreneurial. But then when I came back to Credit Suisse, I had actually joined a more mathematical area of equity derivatives, structured products. And, I was finally thriving in an area where I felt like I was using my skill sets better because I like the math, as I explained. Um, so after my .com, they rehired me. They said, we really liked you. We want you back. So they hired me back in New York, and that's when my journey began. I had a very successful career. It was 2008 crisis. I was one of the few people in my seat who had a very good year. It was my record year when for most people it was the worst year ever in their career. So that made me managing director. And with that came a bigger platform. I ran all of structured derivatives in the Americas. So I had a lot of inside information. We were doing stock buybacks for companies. So I couldn't trade public market equities personally. So I started dabbling with other asset classes like art and startup companies, like, to private companies because it was like it's exciting, something different. And that's when I met my business partner, Jameson. We both loved art. So I was invited to this Gagosian gallery, which is one of the top galleries in New York, with a friend of mine who knew the assistant to the main guy, Larry Gagosian. They were doing the Roy Lichtenstein show, so I went for that. It was like I believe in the towards the end of 2009 or early 2010, and that's when I met Jameson, and we just went to Soho House after that and became really good friends. And he was this creative marketing genius who had built his own clothing line. He knew how to build brand culture, knew how to engage celebrities authentically into different brands. So he was doing this for Diesel, Red Bull, and his own brands, and that's kind of when I met him and saw very interesting. And he was already investing in consumer brands at that point, and so he got me involved, and he realized we had very complementary skill sets, me having the finance and things, and that's how we both started investing personally for like 3 4 years and really enjoyed the journey and really felt we were really helping these companies. We also saw huge change in the consumer landscape because of social media, e-commerce. There was a lot of things changing, new brands emerging, and no one was focusing on that area. And it was just the old school private equity funds doing this late stage stuff. So that's when we decided there's a white space here. Let's do a fund. And I was kind of done with my career because I felt like you reach the top and like doing management stuff. I was not enjoying what I was doing. So it was time to go and do something
Step
else
up.
and and I missed my entrepreneurial journey when I had the .com,
Yeah,
and I wanted to bring that spirit again. So that's kind of when I decided that you need to do this. If I don't do this now, I will never do
but
it.
Yeah.
And that's how
Gautam,
Blue
you were
Scope.
MD,
I was
but you were
MD.
an MD at what age? At what age did you become
Uh,
managing director at
I
Credit
think it was
Suisse?
32, 32.
You must be one of the youngest MDs at Credit Suisse.
I was at that time at my class or that era. I was definitely the youngest, for sure.
Got it. So once you're an MD at
That's
Credit Suisse,
impressive.
you're making multi-million dollars. You're making millions of dollars a year. to then go and join and create your own venture fund. I mean, even for you, that must have been a big decision.
Yeah, look, in life, I realized one thing, right? Like you have to take one step back to take two steps forwards, right? So I've had this journey three times. The first time was, I when I did the .com, I had to give it up, and then I rejoined Credit Suisse, back to the same position. I lost a year, but that one step forward gave me two steps forward because I had the entrepreneurial spirit that I'd learned. Plus, it gave me the move to New York, which I never would have had, right? So those you always have to look
Got
at
it.
that way. And then the second time was, when I was actually in 2007, when most people were making a lot of money. I was trying to be cautious, even though we made a lot of money. I decided not to make as much as I could have because I wanted to protect the positions of the bank and thinking that things could be very ugly in the years to come. And that affected my compensation and my relationship with my global head. And he didn't think I was worthy enough. And there was a lot of discussions like, is he the right person and all. And then when 2008 happened, it became clear I had made the right decisions, and it put me two steps forward to MD at an
Yeah.
earlier age than I would have, etc. So you always have to take the risk and take a step back because there's no other way to get there, especially when you do you do big things in life. So same with the thing. So I knew that was what's gonna happen, but I was like, if I don't love what I do, I don't want to do it. And I think
Yeah.
Amit, you know this about me. Unless I'm passionate, I just don't have interest in doing anything. Right? That's one of the things. Even
Sure.
in university, like unless I was passionate about something, I wouldn't do it. So I lost the passion for what I did because I enjoyed the whole journey. Like unlike other bankers who always complain about their jobs, I actually loved my job. I thrived at Credit Suisse, and it was like every day was exciting to go to work. It was only the last 2 years when I made MD and things were was not exciting
It was a
anymore for
different
me. But
role.
yeah,
Yeah. So
and that's
what year did you start Blue Scorpion?
we started. Actually, we launched on my birthday in October 2015. So the fund launched, the
2015.
first fund launched on my birthday, but we started really investing. That was more of a milestone. But we really started investing in the on the from the 1st of January 2016. So
Okay.
2016 onwards, we started deploying capital. But we and since then we've built an amazing portfolio.
Yeah.
Not only have we invested in great companies, but we've actually been instrumental in building them to what they are and have been the most active, influential investors for them. And that's kind of now led us to starting a second fund, which we're already deploying out of now. And hadn't had if we didn't have the success of the first, we would not be able to be where we are today. So, again, that one step back, now we finally feeling that it's been a 7 year journey to get here. And I think a lot of people tell you start a business, it takes 10 years to really start seeing the real fruits. And I feel that's exactly where, like in that last point where things
Okay.
are really trying to change for us. Yeah.
That's great. And I did notice when looking at the website that the consumer products you guys invest in, I mean, they range from beverages to mattresses to toothbrushes, ice cream.
Mm.
What are you guys looking for?
I think the first thing we look for is the people because it's the people who make things happen, right? So we have a three-step philosophy of things we look at. The first is the people, because that's the most important. The other thing is then is what we call, like kind of a process, or we can call it, in the way we look at categories to say, is this something that can go global as a category? Is the market size big enough for this? Is this company have the path to profitability? Can we help and really build this brand and be helpful to them? Because if we can't be helpful, what's the point of doing them? And the last thing is the product, right? Because a lot of VCs, they look at numbers and make investments and talk to management teams. But when you're selling a consumer product, the product has to be best of breed, right? So we do product testing. We give it to our community. We have to fall in love with it. The difference is we have to be passionate about something to do it, because if you're not passionate, you can't spread that contagion, right? So
Of
it's
course.
not for us, it's not just an investment, it's a partnership in these great entrepreneurs who have become part of our family. We're friends with them, we hang out with them, We do everything on. They become my extended family, and that's the only way to build something. So that product testing is very important. So we give it to our community. We have to love it, and so that's why a lot of our brands have actually all of our brands in some way have become award winning, and actually a few of them have made Time's best inventions. So it's because we focus a lot on the product.
That's
So
great.
those are
You
the three.
mentioned global. I
Sorry.
wanted to ask you, like, are we going to get a Blue Scorpion India private limited company coming up anytime soon? Or is that uh, the fourth round of
So
funding?
I've discussed with another friend of mine who actually is the Jameson of India to do something in India as well. So we're just exploring because he's saying India is also becoming this big brand centric, is changing. So I'm exploring it, but nothing concrete. I mean, the idea is like
It's
US
super hot,
is such a big market.
super hot India.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
at some point it would happen for sure. It's the skill set I have, and I have, I think once we get to a certain level at Blue Scorpion, maybe third fund or something, or, where it's more established, then I would be willing to look into that and help out in some way in that spectrum.
give me a call when you do Blue Scorpion Latin America. Yeah,
Sounds good.
One of the products I noticed was Clean Cult. Give me
Yeah.
like a 30-second spiel on Clean Cult. I was interested in it.
So Clean Cult was very interesting to us because they were disrupting the whole cleaning industry. So what we like is a lot of these categories that you use every day, but no one thinks of disrupting, right? Because it's too boring and thing. So there was two issues happening in the world today. One is that people don't want petrochemicals and stuff that's also bad for the environment, right? And also packaging that's bad for the environment and so much plastic waste. So they said, how do we solve both these problems? So they solved both these problems by two ways. Number one, they said we're not going to use petrochemicals, we're going to use coconuts and saponify that to actually get to clean ingredients. So they did that. So they have a lab in Puerto Rico and they formulated it and it's working great. Second thing was like how do we solve the plastic waste issue? So they created a proprietary manufacturing unit that actually allows you to put soap in milk cartons. So milk carton process for putting milk is a very high pressure process and it won't work for soap because it'll foam up, right? So they created this proprietary manufacturing which made them allowed to put soap in milk cartons. So now they solve both problems. So that's how this brand came to be. And they were just doing a very
Okay.
great job with the marketing with these quirky videos and all. And
if you whenever you go IPO, just don't forget the friends and family round.
so they actually
Don't forget it.
they just launched nationwide in Walmart, which is a huge deal.
Excellent. Absolutely. Well, I love these products that you're investing in that are revolutionizing their industry. That's what caught my eye quickly with that one.
Yeah, so Quip was that one. Quip is a very interesting one as well. So Quip,
The toothbrush?
it's not just a toothbrush, it's an oral care platform. So when we invest in them, and the vision of the founder was not just creating a great toothbrush. That was just a starting point. His vision was I want to create the first oral care platform. Everyone has
Okay.
different companies make different products, different companies and different companies do dental service, insurance, it's all fragmented, right? You have Colgate doing like toothbrushes, you have Waterpik doing the water flosser, you have all these fragmented companies doing different areas of, you know, uh, dental products, and then you have different companies doing healthcare, right? Like it's health companies and all. And the whole idea was like oral care is integrated because you have your toothbrush, you have to brush for 2 minutes, you have to floss, all that kind of stuff. And then you have to go to your dentist twice a year to get your cleaning and checkup, and that's how everything works really well. So that's what they did,
Okay.
which no one was doing. So they started with really well-designed products that look like Apple products, but also have 2-minute vibrations. It forces you to brush for 2 minutes with 30-second intermission, so you can know when to change your direction of the brushing. Then they came up with other cool products, very well designed, and all subscription based. You don't have to think about it, right? So you buy it, you don't know when to change your toothbrush. It'll come to your mail every 3 months. $5 a month for toothbrush. You can do toothpaste. You can add the flosser, whatever you want. And
That's cool.
they just raised $100 million about a year ago to now build this whole service side of the business, which is how do we build this service side with like dental care, aligners, insurance. Now they're working on that plan. And once that all comes together, then it'll be the first oral care platform that exists in the world. And hopefully that's a great IPO candidate.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Can you talk about? I know you met Adam Neumann and you had a term sheet. Was it about WeWork? I don't know if that's something you can discuss.
Yeah, so I can discuss it. Basically, it was Jameson knew Adam personally for many years. And so actually, this is interesting because this is kind of what pushed us to do the fund. Um, so back, I believe it's 2012, Adam Neumann had approached Jameson to say, look, I want your skill sets. You're so brilliant at what you do. If you guys bring $10 million at a 90 million free money, I would give you the whole round. So we would own 10% of WeWork. I mean, obviously, me and him personally didn't have the capacity to put 10 million. So we like, how do we, let's get a consortium. And Jameson in the past was already working with some very high net worth individuals, very famous, to like get, you know, his projects funded and all. And that's how he was working on a deal by deal basis. And so we had one of his investors who said, okay, I'll do this. And we were going to put 100 grand each into it and he would put the rest. And this is like the first, I think this, not even Series A, I think it was the first institutional capital they took. And so we were ready to go. And then the investor backed out last minute thinking, why am I paying $100 million valuation for this? Which is, they only had one space at that time, or maybe two, I'm not sure.
In
And
Soho.
yeah, the Soho and one more. I forget what the other one. Maybe it was Brooklyn. I'm not sure. So that's when he pulled out, and Jameson got very upset because he's like, no one understands our vision and what we want to do, why we want to invest in these companies, and this is why deal by deal is not working anymore. Like we need to start a fund. So if you quit your job, he goes, I'll do the fund with you, and that's kind of what also kind of pushed me to do it. So there was one of those starting points. And even at whatever you look at it, right? Even if we work at whatever valuation, when you come at 100 million, whatever way you look at it, you would have made a ton of money, right? So, and I'm sure
Yeah.
we would
Yeah.
have taken some secondary when we had the opportunity. Yeah, so
But that's interesting. So the failure of closing WeWork was actually what led Jameson and you to actually decide to get a fund going.
correct.
Brilliant.
That wasn't in the movie or the show on Apple. It should have been on it. The next episode.
That was,
Yeah,
yeah.
they didn't talk about
So
the people
Gautam,
who did
now,
invest, right?
Yeah.
yeah. What about, are you seeing a lot of companies now or product companies put the words AI at the beginning or at the end of what they do? And is that something that you're finding a trend?
I mean, it's so new that those companies are way too early for us to invest in because you got to remember the companies we invest in already doing a couple of years of they've been around a few years doing a couple of million to 12 million of sales. That's when we invest. So I'm seeing people definitely doing it, but it's they're not ready for us to invest in yet. Yeah.
Did you guys hear this week the news about Levi's and their partnership with a AI company?
Yeah, I
Or
did.
not
Yeah.
yet?
I did not.
Okay,
No. What happened?
so basically they partner with a digital fashion company to create consumer AI models. So models that will be different sizes, ages, body types, colors, skin types. Um, and they're getting a lot of backlash this week because critics are saying, why are you using AI instead of actual models? Why aren't we getting diverse models? Why are you using graphics? But this is just the beginning. Like you said, there's not enough information, but it's the beginning of revolutionizing these products.
What do
100%.
you think of the whole ChatGPT 4 and this letter that came up this week, with Elon and everybody signing? What are your thoughts, Gautam?
Yeah, I think ChatGPT is an amazing tool if right, used correctly. I mean, even for me, like just writing up, like I hate writing essays and paragraphs. You know this. I use ChatGPT. It's great. It's a great tool. It just enhances your work, right? So, even market
Why are
research,
you writing essays?
just like
What essays are you
blogs
writing?
and stuff like that, a little bit stuff. No, nothing, not essays. I mean, they're just giving you. But what is interesting is that, um, that I really find it a useful tool, right? Because that's not my skill set. Writing is not my skill set, right? So even doing some research, like very simple, like what is the market size for this category? What's for this? Like, we have a whole analyst outsourced team, but before I go to them, if I'm looking at a company, I can just go ask the question and see is it worth like looking at the sector or not, right? So it's just such an amazing tool that saves you a lot of time trying to search stuff or find stuff, and it's like finding needle in haystack. Let someone else do it while you're doing it. That's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah. It's time saving, it's efficiency as well.
It's great, yeah.
I actually heard in today's All In podcast that somebody used AI to save their pet. Like a dog was ill, went to the vet, and the vet said it's one of three things, and gave medication for the first one, and the dog did not get better in a few days' time, and he went into ChatGPT and put what the three things were, and got some sort of recommendation, and another vet gave him the medicine for the third thing, and the dog's now perfect. So it's starting to save lives as well. I thought it was
It's
amazing.
amazing, yeah. Yeah,
Gautam,
because
let's
all the
let's
information's
talk
out
about
there, right?
you. Yeah, let's talk about you on a personal basis. Are you single? Are you mingling with someone? Like, tell us about your daily routine and your work play balance.
Yeah, so right now it's been a lot of work because we're also growing our second fund and we're making all these investments. But I have a very balanced life, as you know, Amit. I'm very social, so I'm single, and that's by choice, just so everyone knows. Not, I had actually was dating someone, and didn't work out, uh, whatever. But like I feel like it has to come within, like when you feel ready. I feel like I gave this journey, the fund, I got, I was so focused on that as a relationship, like building this business, that when it came to woman, it was more like a casual thing for me. So I
Yeah.
feel like till we get to a point where I feel like, okay, is in a point where it can kind of self-sustain in some way, then I'll be ready to explore on that. But as you know, I'm very social, so I get invited to a lot of great places. I've always had a very interesting um, social circle. That if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have made a person like Jameson. Because I'm not your typical finance guy who only used to hang out with finance people. I'm always very social with all people from all walks of life, all kind of industries. So that's why I built a very interesting network that's allowed me to. Without that, this Blue Scorpion wouldn't have been possible, right? So that's
Yeah.
one of the most.
Okay, when you get invited to parties like the Halloween party, maybe you can tell us some more about that. Are you allowed to bring a plus one? And can
I
I be
do.
your plus one for the next Halloween party?
I usually bring a very beautiful girl from it, but
I was gonna
but
say,
I,
Yeah.
Amit, his circle I've seen on social media, they're all very good looking. So we'll see how you fit into
Are you
that.
saying something, Sabrina?
No, no, not at all. Not at all. But
Can you
they
tell
are
us a little bit
cute.
about the Halloween party, Gotham, whose
Yeah,
it is, and or is that
yeah, so I usually
information you
go
won't
every
discuss?
year to Heidi Klum's Halloween party. She loves to host Halloween. She has the best spirit. For people who don't know Heidi Klum, she's one of the top models from Germany. She used to be married to Seal, uh, not anymore. And she always does this great Halloween party. So I met her and Seal in 2007, and since then I've been having invite to this party. Actually, kept in touch with Seal's brother, and he's not invited anymore, but I am because Seal and Heidi are not together. So that's how.
how
But
many
it's
people
a
are at
great
this
part.
party? Several hundred,
Typically, it's
thousand?
probably like 200 to 300, and it's all
Nice.
A-listers, most celebrities. Actually, last party Elon Musk was there with his mother, May Musk, which is interesting.
What did you dress up as last time?
I followed the girl I was going with. She wanted to be what's that Julia Fox. So I was like this guy with like all leather and like a punk guy, like wearing all leather and this T-shirt with all bling on it. So
You are not the ordinary finance guy, that's for sure.
no, 100%. Even at work, my clothes were different from most people in finance. I hate those khakis with blue shirts. It drive me nuts. And wearing those logo fleeces, I just couldn't do that. I had to be a little more fashionable and do something
You know,
different.
you say khakis and blue shirt. My first job out of high school, or no, I was still in high school, was at Blockbuster. We all loved going to Blockbuster. I miss it. And it was khakis and blue polo shirts. And to this day, I will not wear. I'm like scarred for life of having to wear khakis and blue shirts. So I feel you on that one.
I remember a
Yeah.
story, Gautam, when I was staying with you in New York. We went out one night and you invited me to this club. And I said, Gautam, I don't really want to spend that kind of money. And you said, don't worry about it, it's on me. And we had a friend of yours also from India. I forgot his name. It's the guy who sold Hotmail to, was it Google or Microsoft?
Oh yeah,
Do you remember
Sabir
him?
Bhatia. Yeah.
Yeah, him. So we went out clubbing with him and obviously some friends, some pretty looking girls. And then when the bill came, and we can beep this out later if you don't want it. When the bill came, the guy said, "Gotham, let me take care of it. It won't make a dent in my net worth." And you just giggled and laughed and said, it doesn't make a difference to me. And then I remember I got the bill and I was like, yeah, this will make a difference in my net worth. And I just left it at that. But I remember you were always very generous. You always took care of me. You invited me. You've taken care of me, I feel, for many, many decades. Um, and I think despite your success, despite how wealthy you are and how popular you are, you've always made time for all your friends from the beginning. And I feel you've always been humble, and I feel like you're one of the few people that really deserves the success because of how nice a guy you really are. We all know bankers who've gone the other way. So, what keeps you grounded? Is it your upbringing? Is it your mom and dad? What makes you such a good guy? Like, I want to understand that.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think it's definitely a lot to do with upbringing, just and just a value system, right? Like money comes and goes. Like tomorrow I can have nothing, right? But the only thing that remains is the relationships you make, right? The true relationships. So I think that's always been in the back of my mind that that's the most important thing in life. We're gonna go. We're gonna have nothing when we leave, and money is just it's a good way to live life, but it's not the end of it's not the most important thing. And for me, that's always been thing. And I always admired people. Like if you look at the success story of a lot of people who I admire, they're all very humble, right? They're not arrogant. So the real people who make real wealth are pretty humble people. Like Warren Buffett is a good example. So I'm like, if they at that level are like that, then why do I need to, you know,
Yeah.
you want to aspire to people like that, right? So, another person I look up to in the finance is Steve Schwartzman. He's also, he might be this successful, but at the end of the day, he's a humble guy because I sent him an email when he came up with his book. He came up with a book called What It Takes, and I was one of the first. I read it immediately as it came out, and I sent him a very authentic email saying I really this resonated because my journey seems very similar. And then he wrote back and he said, like, wow, I appreciate that email, and he gave me tips and all that, and we kept in touch. Like for a person like that to write to some random guy who writes to him is it's pretty big, right? And I got a
Mhm.
reply within 2 days. So
He's the Black Rock guy.
no, Blackstone. He's the founder of Blackstone.
Blackstone.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's
So
pretty impressive.
all these things always, the people I was admired, always humble, and just like, and I just, it's just my nature, I guess, and I've just always been like that.
Yeah.
So
You're kind, you're
Yeah.
humble, like we talked about enjoying your life. You're a foodie too. So I want to
yeah.
know, what are some of the best restaurants you go to? Because you're not taking pictures of, just plain simple meal. I see these,
McDonald's.
yes, it's not McDonald's. It's like exquisite cuts of fish at, high-end sushi places. And maybe they're not high-end, but tell me, what's your favorite go-to food and your go-to
They are high
restaurant?
end.
They
So
are
They
I
are
high
high end,
end.
Sabrina.
I do love sushi, and unfortunately, sushi just to have that quality has to be high end, right? So I do go and love my sushi. So my favorite is sushi Yasuda, which my old boss introduced me to when I was at Credit Suisse, and I've been going there since working at Credit Suisse. So since 2003, I think I've been doing the restaurant, and I've been eating with the main chef there, who used to be Mr. Yasuda himself. Now it's taken over by another guy, Mitsuru-san, and that's always my favorite meal. And everyone I've introduced it have pretty much said it's the best sushi they've ever had. But having said that, I do like very street foody as well. So there's a Indian Pakistani restaurant called Handi, which is on 27th and Lex, where all the taxi drivers go. I do go there as well. So for me, it's about the food first, and then the ambiance and the. So I become I'm price insensitive in the sense that it has to be great food first, and then it can be any price point. It could be like a $5 meal. It can be like a $500 meal. So for me, it's about just having the best quality food and that cuisine. And I like to explore different cuisines. Like growing up in the British school in India, I had all international students, right? So my
Yeah.
friends were all around the world, and I got exposed to different cuisines at a very early age, right? I had Japanese kids to like Somalian to Kenyan to like Polish to Hungarian. So I've been exposed to all those foods at a very young age, and my parents also love food, and we used to go out a lot as kids. So and Amit saw from day one we met. We were in college. I was just
Yeah.
wanted to eat good food. So I always had a very good palate, and I think the one thing coming to New York did was it just enhanced that because New York is
Yeah.
like food central, right? Like all cuisines the best. So it just makes you choose the best, and
So
yeah,
what
it's
is the
never
best to
about.
you? If you had your last meal is going to be which cuisine?
Yeah, I think it's sushi usuda, Japanese, for sure.
Okay.
I was in New York in Jan, but Gautam was in Delhi. I think he goes to India. You go to India twice a year, Gautam? You go for Holi?
Yeah, no, I was actually not in India then. I was skiing in the Alps at that point. But I usually go to India during Diwali and Holi, but now I've been going during once a year, but I stay longer and work remotely. So I go
Okay.
like probably in November, and spend like a month and a half there. So I got back for Christmas, and then I left for the holidays to the Alps.
Yeah. Sabrina, when I go to Delhi, I stay in his house, even though he's not there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which is always great.
Yeah.
My parents are really fond of Amit, and so is my brother.
Yeah. Um, Gautam, before we wrap up, Sabrina thought of a fun way of getting to know you by playing a stupid American game
Sabrina did not come
called
up with this game. Let's get that clear because
Marry,
my mom will
Kill,
watch this.
Marry, Kill, Fuck. And we picked three personalities. You may have heard of them. Kendall Jenner, Alicia Keys, and Priyanka Chopra.
Right.
Who would you marry? Who would you kill? Who would you do?
I think Alicia Keys the Marimo time. Kendall Jenner is the one I would do, and then Priyanka Chopra is the one I'll kill.
Okay. That was pretty easy.
I would say, I would say not only good but right choice.
Yeah. Good one.
Gautam, we leave it to you. If my mom or Sabrina's mom or one of our users or listeners wants to get a hold of you, what would be the right way to get a hold of you? Do you want to leave an IG or Twitter handle?
Yeah, it's my both handle for Instagram, Twitter is Gautam_NY.
Okay, great. It might be the next big product that goes
Perfect.
global for you too, that reaches
Okay.
out to you.
From my
That'd be
part,
great.
Gautam, thank you again for not only coming today for this hour, but for our friendship. I actually consider you in my list of top 20 closest friends. I know I'm in your list of anything between 200 and 2,000, but
No,
I
it's not
still love
true.
you. Sabrina, do you want to
Same.
say a few words?
Yeah, I do. I want to thank you. It's been very interesting hearing your story today and your journey, your success story, and I know there's more to come. The main point I took from you today is you take one step back to take two steps forward, and I'm going to take that with me and teach that to my daughter. And I think a lot of people are going to enjoy listening to your journey. So thank you for being here. It's been awesome
Thank you,
catching up
Fab.
with you. I look forward to being your plus one at Heidi Klum's Halloween party next year. So let's stay in touch. But to our
We're going to fight that
listeners,
one.
okay, sounds good. I'm up for it. But to our listeners, this is our latest episode of Indian Explorers about Indian successes around the world. And again, if you've enjoyed today's conversation, and I'm sure you have with our amazing guests, please subscribe and listen to more upcoming inspiring stories. So, Gautam, nice seeing you again. You take care.
Miss you. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.